Hello, let's get right into the video. So the first thing that's really important in GTA Online, especially for new players, is CEO offices. You can get these from Dynasty 8 Executive. They range between 2 and 3 million. Here are the options that you can get. These are incredibly useful if you want to do anything. I highly recommend buying these before you buy anything else. You can get warehouses, all kinds of different missions. Really useful for new players. If you don't have one, this is what they look like. For those of you that don't, you get an assistant like this. You can name your property. You can get free snacks here. You can get mixed goods. Incredibly useful for first-time players. And of course, you can get a buzzard helicopter, which you can spawn in anywhere right next to you instead of having to go to the airport to collect it, which can be very useful. It's probably the vehicle I use more than any other in GTA Online. Next up, we have a vehicle on Warstock Cash and Carry. It is actually the best jet in the game. That used to be the Hydra, but now it is the Raiju. This thing is quite expensive, as you can see here. You can get a trade price, but it's still relatively expensive, but it is very much worth the price. This thing is VTOL, which means it can take off vertically. You can call it in pretty close to you, and look at the color scheme I have here. This plane has so much customization. It has beautiful liveries, and boy is it fast. It blows the Hydra and the laser out in the water. It's an incredible plane, definitely worth the purchase. Again, I highly recommend using this if you're trying to get around the map quick. There is really no other vehicle quite like it. The Hydra's good if you can't quite afford the Raiju, but I would definitely say save up, get yourself a Raiju. You won't be disappointed. Here's a quick demonstration of some of the handling of that jet. Another vehicle on Warstock Cash and Carry, that is the Toreador. As you can see here, it's quite expensive again, going around $4 million, but it is yet another very useful vehicle. Here is mine in gold. Let me show you the interior real quickly here. Now this is a brilliant vehicle because it is not only a cart, but it is also submersible, meaning it can go underwater and even fire missiles. You can drive literally straight into the water. It's basically the same as the Stromberg, but better. If you do have a Stromberg, maybe don't buy this, but if you're starting out fresh and you don't have either, I would say definitely buy the Toreador first, because it's well worth it. And here is a quick demonstration of its underwater capabilities. Now let's talk about motorcycles, because if you want to do time trials, you're going to need a really fast motorcycle. The Shotaro here is a very good choice, as is the Hakuchou Drag, especially if you're playing on next gen. The Hakuchou Drag is actually the faster of the two, but for me the Shotaro is the better looking motorcycle, and I can do every single one of the time trials with this motorcycle. There is one or two that require, I would say, a car, but out of the ones that require a motorcycle, the Hakuchou is definitely capable of doing that. Night Shark is the next vehicle on our list on Warstock Cash and Carry. It is actually relatively cheap for what it is, and this thing can now be used in races. It comes in a variety of colours, as you can see here. Mine is in gold, and it is really fast for an armoured vehicle. But what makes it the best is it can take so much damage and so many homing missiles. It really is a force to be reckoned with, and one of the best vehicles you can buy on online. It takes 4 people, as you can see here, so it's very good if you play with friends, and it is just an all-round good vehicle. Once you've got this, you really don't need to do anything else. It comes with front-mounted machine guns. If you're a new player, you must pick up a Night Shark. I would say, if I'm the CEO offices, this is probably the second most useful vehicle for new players in the game. Everybody should own a Night Shark. Yes, by all means buy armoured vehicles, all of them if you want, but the Night Shark is the must-have for new players, because it can take so much damage from NPCs and from other players in online as well. And now we move to one of the best value for money purchases in GTA Online. It is the Armoured Kuruma, found here on Southern Andreas Super Autos. And as you can see, it is a brilliant looking car, and it is so cheap. It sometimes is on offer as well, which makes it even better. This is really good against NPCs. The armoured windows are actually surprisingly very good. It may not be the fastest car, but it is certainly value for money if you're just starting out in online. And if you're not, if you do have lots of cars, definitely recommend still getting an armoured car. It's an okay interior, doesn't look the best, but it does the job. And really, like I said, you just buy this if you want a nice looking car that you can customise, but also serves as a defensive vehicle as well. With the Kuruma, you cannot go wrong. Here I am, look, shooting the windows. It just really doesn't take any damage at all. It's just the best vehicle. Now, our next vehicle on this list isn't this helicopter, although it does come with it. It's actually the Kosatka submarine. The Kosatka costs just over 2 million. You can buy it over on Warstock Cash and Carry. And it won't show up for me here because I already own it. But with the Kosatka, you do indeed get that Sea Sparrow that you just saw there. And if you buy it, also a mini sub as well. You also get a dinghy. All these customizable options you can see here on screen now. You can do quite a lot with it. There's also missiles, as you can see. You can drive it around. There's jammers. There's all kinds of things you can put on this Kosatka. But most importantly of all, you can use it to set up the Cayo Perico heist, which is still one of the best heists in the game for making money. And yes, it's a bit expensive, but considering how much you're going to use it, if you want to grind for money, it's definitely worth it. The Sea Sparrow is a little bit on the weak side, but that is worth the money alone. So definitely recommend getting a Kosatka if you have the cash to do so. So now we are going to club together 2 vehicles. I am clubbing together the Oppressor Mark II and the Deluxo. Both are flying vehicles, but the Oppressor is ludicrously priced. And personally, I just would not recommend it based on the fact that you kind of look like a douchebag if you're flying around on an Oppressor. They're also only one-seater, which does make the Oppressor, for me, slightly less usable. But it's very good if you're a solo player. The Deluxo, however, brilliant vehicle, does pretty much the same job. Slightly slower, slightly less manoeuvrable, but for me, the better car overall. As you can see here, it's a pretty good looking car as well. It is, of course, the Back to the Future car. So it's worth getting just for that alone. And if I get the doors open here, you can see that it's a pretty nice interior. It's not the most detailed, but they've got some nice seats in there. It's definitely not an ugly vehicle whatsoever. And if you're new to the game, or even if you're not, but don't have a Deluxo, I definitely recommend getting one. It does, of course, come with missiles and machine guns that you can switch between regular missiles and homing and machine guns if you wish. All three. It is still quite manoeuvrable, although the Oppressor is probably slightly higher on that just because it can hover a bit easier. But the Deluxo is still a brilliant vehicle. I would say, though, it's low on armour. Be very careful if you're firing rockets around it. And now to the weapons. The only weapon on this list is the Up-and Atomizer. It is the best weapon in the game. I don't care what anyone else says. This thing is fantastic. It is hilarious. Look what it does to vehicles. Look what it does to people. This is just so much fun. But it's not just for fun ability that I put it on this list. It is for usability as well. If you get stuck, there is no better way to get your vehicle out of danger than an Up-and Atomizer. Just shoot at it and it will launch it out of the dangerous spot. You can get back on the road and away you go. The Up-and Atomizer is the best weapon in the game. Next we have a property, and just like the CEO office, the Motorcycle Club is almost as valuable, especially if you're a new player starting out. You can get businesses with it, you can do missions from there, and if you've got friends, you can do missions with them as well. This is the interior. I really like the interior of the Motorcycle Club. It comes with a garage out here. You can get drinks here. You can play darts here if you wish, if that's something you like to do. But mainly, I would say get the Motorcycle Club so you can get those businesses. They are really cheap, especially when offer for what you get. I would say try and get one around this area. It's probably the best choice, somewhere around the middle or indeed in the city. These help you to get all the businesses, and I would say they're all pretty good, except maybe Document Forgery. I do own a Document Forgery office. Wouldn't recommend it. They don't really make you much money, but all the other businesses definitely worth getting, especially when they're on double money, and you can only get them with a Motorcycle Club. And a word of note, you don't have to use motorcycles for the missions. A lot of people think you do, you don't. Just a bit of information for you there. So that's another great purchase for people that have the Motorcycle Club. And that concludes our list. Thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below what next video you want to see next. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.